Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Shreya. Sunday evenings, 8:30 p.m. The three good generals. Unfortunately, Major General Rajiv Narayanan is running a little bit late. I'm hopeful that he'll join us at some point during this podcast. Let's bring in the two other generals, General Ravi Shankar and General Dushyant Singh. Namaskar, sir. How are you?
Namaskar and
Namaskar.
thanks a lot.
General Ravi Shankar, with your permission, I'd like to start with General Dushyant Singh today.
Yeah.
General Dushyant Singh, by the way, viewers, this is coming live to you from three YouTube channels, Claws, Gunner Shot, and P Gurus. Wherever you are watching, please like the video and also please subscribe to our channel if you have not already done so. General Dushyant Singh, fighting proxy wars, firing a gun from somebody else's shoulders is a lot easier than doing it yourself. And interestingly, if you remember, sir, late 70s, the Indian External Affairs Minister is in China, and China goes and invades in Vietnam, and the Indian delegation had to come back in a hurry. That's something very surprising what happened. But then they got a bloody nose. And then they tried to explain it, saying that we wanted to lose to show how unprepared, something like that. So, General Dushyant Singh, talk to us a little bit about China's actual involvement in wars. How has it fared, and how ready is it today if it has to get into the field and fight, whether it is Taiwan or India or any other country for that matter? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ayurji, for having invited me once again every Sunday. I think this has become a regular feature. As far as China is concerned, look, China has lost its ability to really how to fight. And somewhere it is rooted in the 1979 Vietnam War. And I would also take it back into history. The doctrine which Sun Tzu has been quoted with, and that is to subdue the enemy without fighting. I think they've taken it too seriously, and there were two books also which which came
I
out.
like that.
One of one of them by two colonels, and the three warfare strategy was commissioned by PLA. You note my word. It was commissioned by PLA to fight wars in a three warfare dimension, which all of you are aware: public media, then non-kinetic, essentially propaganda. So they have information warfare, cyber, etc. So they have been focusing, in my view, I think excessively on two things. One, show to the world that they got a big teeth, right? And that they are doing it through technology advancements, increasing the number of aircraft carriers, number of missiles. For example, today they have about 3,500 advanced missiles, which is a fairly large number, and about 1,500 launchers. Now, for unless a combat potential of a military is converted to kinetic potential, kinetic energy, it is of no meaning. It's a waste lying in a dustbin. I don't think the Chinese have ever displayed the willpower after 1971 to actually fight in combat. Even if they have taken certain things along our front, which is northern front, some conflicts here and there, they have actually run away. More often than not, they have run away. You take Doklam, Sumdranchu, Doklam, you take 67.
Natullah.
Nathula, 67. Moment they suffered over 300 odd, 200 odd casualties, they just gave up within 2-3 days. Then you see Galwan. Moment we started retaliating, I think they didn't have the stomach to take the losses. So it is, I think, rooted in certain policies which they adopted long time back. They had good intentions, but then they should have followed those policies, right? Economic liberalization, very good policy. One child norm, is it now a very good policy? I don't think so. One couple is looking after 12 couples. One young couple is actually, if you draw the matrix, how will somebody send that fellow to battlefield? There are, I believe in China, there are lot of incentives being given for people to join the PLA, for young kids to join the PLA. Nobody wants to join the PLA because, and unless you have a battle hardened soldier, let me tell you, technology can be there, but it has no meaning unless you have a HR capable of using that technology. Look, there has been a perception in the environment that the Chinese are 10 feet tall. I would also not say that the Chinese are 5 feet tall. Given the way they have advanced themselves, given the way they have increased their economic potential, they are somewhere around 8 feet tall. But what is lacking in them, what is lacking in the Chinese, is, in my opinion, the willpower to use hard power. I think that is the key to what China is today. And it is not helping them a wee bit because of their HR base, which has now got so weak. Imagine a conscripted army of 2 years. We are crying host on Agniveers of 4 years. These guys with 2 years, what kind of technology proficiency will they have? Their ships are needing well-trained people. Their jet fighters, they are, I think, using the Pakistani fighter pilots to test their equipment. So if they are going to do these kind of indirect methods, the proxies don't stand a chance when faced directly. If they are launching a proxy war, that is where I appreciate the US. Okay, they may be also losing, but at least they have that willpower to use the hard power. I don't think the Chinese have been able to cross that barrier. That is the second issue. The third thing is their leadership. Any combat potential can only function if their leadership is good. What is happening to their leadership? Tomorrow's battle is going to be non-contact and kinetic, or non-contact kinetic, which means air, missile. These are the things, artillery. These are the things which are going to play a significant role. And what is happening to their rocket force with 3,500 missiles and 1,500 launchers? That there is a series of generals who are being purged. What will be the morale of that particular force? Do you think it will be in any worthwhile shape to actually fight a war? So at the base, you have soldiers who are not very keen to join the PLA. In the leadership domain, the strategic leadership is somewhere being every day disrupted based on corruption or based on loyalty, whichever way you want to call it. Their current vice chair of the CMC is a 1950 veteran of Vietnam. If he's got this psyche in his mind of Vietnam, I think he will continue to fear that his generals are unlikely to deliver. So I will, as of now, stop here. As we go along, I think we will discuss more about it. We also need to factor in that the Chinese, not everything is facing us, right? Yeah, General Zhang Yuxia, not everything is facing India. They have Taiwan to take care of. They have other South China Sea, which is also called nowadays, they are referring to it as the pond of China. That is also, on and off, it keeps boiling up. Philippines is on a greater high, given the fact that we have given our BrahMos, and a lot of demand are now going for BrahMos. So overall, I think the Chinese are fallen into the trap of their own concept and their own design. I'll stop here.
Thank you so much, General Dushan Singh. General Ravi Shankar, proxy wars also, China isn't exactly doing well. Forget about putting own feet on the ground. I remember an episode where you had said that whenever there are joint exercises planned, India will just pick so many from each regiment or division, and everybody gets together and goes and does the joint exercises. And a Chinese general came up to you to ask, how did you do the selection? You explained to him, and this guy was scratching his head because looks like they have the face that they put to the world, which is different from the reality of their army. And it's every 2 years, and plus you get special allowance to be on the Indian border. That's what I heard. General Ravi Shankar, I mean, what world are they living in? Because they're constantly pinpricking India every 2 minutes.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I think whatever General Dushyanth said is absolutely valid, and I'm going to only add on to it. Right. Uh, I'll take your mind back to 2020. That's the first time when we started interacting, and I started appearing on P-Gurus. If you remember, there was a time when Eastern Ladakh thing was going on, Kailash, AO, all that. You said, "Sir, can you come and explain?" If you remember, at that time I said the Chinese will go back and they'll not fight. Then I
Yes.
said,
Yes.
right, and it's stood its test of time. They can't fight. The fundamental thing is they can't fight. Look, it's something like we say, "Na apple a day keeps what doctor away." Okay, the way I look at it in China, a general a day keeps warfare away. Every day a general is getting sacked in China. Okay, that's what it is. Actually, today morning I saw this article in Newsweek which said, China is losing generals as if they're not tomorrow. And that's when it hit me, to suggest to you, can we discuss this? Yeah, this fellow is the one who's taking all generals out. Okay. The point is, like what General Dushyant said, you don't have leadership. See, look at the importance of leadership in our own Ops Sindoor. Okay. How various facets of leadership came out during Ops Sindoor. And this was only in the staff, ladies coming and briefing, giving professional briefs, then the DGM was coming and giving absolute clarity to what happened. They knew exactly what happened. They were dealing with the Pakistani chap at their level. We were dealing with the Americans at some other level. It was a well-oiled machine. Okay, that well-oiled machine can come only if the political and the military are on the same page. In China, they're not on the same page. It appears that the political system and the military system are in different prisons or different hospitals where they get purged. That's the first thing. And second thing, the way when you have so many purges going on, purges could be due to corruption or it could be political purge. Now, if there is a political system going in the senior leadership of the PLA, just think what's the effect of politics down the line. After all, it's a political army. Right? What kind of leadership will be there? It's not. If it is if all these purges are of corruption from what? Overpriced equipment, defective equipment, all that. And I think China has a happy mix of both. Why I say happy mix of both corruption and political purging is you look at the way their weapons have functioned during Ops Sindoor. Right? I mean, all failed. All failed. Okay, you look at their performance during any operation. The leadership failed. In fact, you started with the 79 operations in Vietnam. Deng Xiaoping is on record to say that we went into Vietnam to teach PLA a lesson.
Yeah.
They
Correct.
knew they're going to fight, then lose. The idea was if PLA loses, and then the PLA comes under its control. Oh, this is some kind of funny thinking that you go take a nation to a war and then lose, and then say, no, we have won. Right? And that's been their story. You look at Natula, they got it. Doklam got it. Of course, Eastern Ladakh was a masterpiece, which we've discussed. When we confronted with a maneuver, we just maneuvered on Kailash range. We didn't do anything much. End of story. After that, what happened in Arunachal, right? Where they tried to do that incursion, October 22. They got hit
Yangzi.
badly. Yangzi. And after that, zero. Look, let me put it this way. The last interaction I had with someone who knew China well, who's very up to PLA, and he does deep analysis of PLA, is that PLA today in Tibet has defensive lines. Earlier, I never heard of this. So far, I've never heard that PLA can go on the defensive in China, in Tibet. Now it's on defensive. I mean, I said, what is this defensive? He says, look, sir, there's a 30-kilometer defensive line. So they have a response pattern for the first 30 kilometers. Then they have a response pattern for the next 100 kilometers and then beyond. And as per the response pattern for the first 30 kilometers, they don't even fire a shot. So obviously, they're not prepared to fight. After all, we started fighting the moment they came to Galwan. We suffered casualties, that's a different story. Can they fight? No. The men can't fight. They don't have equipment. Their leadership is poor. And this is a political army. You see, fundamentally, what's the character of, say, like what General Dushan said, the US Army. You can fault USA for anything, but the army is good. It goes, it fights. It's not easy to carry out a 75-hour or 80-hour kind of a, transatlantic maneuver and bomb some sites in Iran. How good the bombing were and all is a different story. The fact that you're prepared to come that far and do a complicated operation shows everything. Look, on the flip side, what did China do? What has China done? China has huge interest in Middle East. China has, is supposed to have a strategic partnership with Iran. Okay, they've put 400 billion over there. It's not a small thing, over a 25-year period. If the Strait of Hormuz closes, the country which will be hit badly is China. They have Belt and Road investment over there. And they have a naval fleet sitting in Djibouti. And that didn't make a noise. It didn't come out. Someone says, no, 2 ships came out and monitored, EW. What the hell? You monitor EW, what do you get? Look, let me put it in absolute terms. A lot of thing is made out of space, EW, cyber, all that. These are all addendums to battle. Battle is fundamentally fought on ground. When something going and hitting the other guy and the other guy bleeding or, getting hurt. Okay. So if you don't do that, you're not there. Simple. You recently heard, General Rahul Singh tell that, about what the DGMO of Pakistan said. No, we know you're going to fire a vector and, don't do that and all that. And that the Chinese were giving them live feed. So what if you keep taking very live feed of everything I do, but I still hit you and you can't do anything? At every stage, whether it's in Doklam, Natula, Eastern Ladakh, or Yangzi, the 4 recent skirmishes we've had, when India has stood up, they've gone back. Okay. You see South China Sea, which, General Dushan was saying, lake. What's been happening there? Philippines, it's got hardly anything. It's got, if you see Philippines patrol boats, they are 1/4 the size of the Chinese patrol boats, offshore patrol vehicles. Every day, these Chinese fellows hit those Philippines guys with, water cannons. And yet those chaps like cockroaches reach where they want to reach. And these behemoths can't do anything. They can't sort out Philippines. They don't have the guts to do it. Okay, you keep talking of Taiwan, but have they set their foot in the water across Taiwan Strait? No, they'll keep flying, me doing all this. I have a bad Hindi word for it, I'll not use it. Okay, but the fact is that does PLA have the capability to fight? I don't know. In fact, in Ghana Shot, I did a analysis of a person called Timothy Heath of RAND. He has given out great analysis of the problems of PLA. Right? I'll give you one fundamental problem. Look, the Indian Army is supposed to defend the sovereignty of the nation, territorial integrity and sovereignty of the nation. Okay? This is given incidentally in the Constitution. It's in fact in the preamble of the Constitution, if you read it carefully. You don't have to read the 4th page. Within the first 3 pages, it's given. So our Constitution defines our national interest and my national tasking in the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. Okay? I'm very clear after that. If tomorrow the Prime Minister comes and tells me, look, go and fight against this person, that person, I will tell, I'm talking of my own Prime Minister, I will tell him, Prime Minister Saab, mere ko ek authority do. And that Prime Minister cannot give me an authority because he is not empowered to give me an authority to fight against my own people. For that, the state has to call me in aid of civil authority. And certain acts have to be passed before this instrument of the state can be used against its own people. Okay, that's the constitutional protection which the people of India get. That's the constitutional protection I get, that I don't get manipulated by a political party. That's the constitutional tasking I get to fight for India and nothing else. What about PLA? He's constitutionally mandated to save the party. He has to save the party by protecting the party and its leaders from the population. It is, territorial integrity and all is secondary. So if that is the case, what is his thinking? Can he fight? Okay, apart from whatever, I'm complimenting whatever General Dushyant has said. He's given one part of the story. I'm giving you another part of the story with some overlap. So my view is, well, like he said, they're not 10 foot tall. They're neither 4 foot tall. He said 8 feet tall. I put it somewhere around 6 odd feet, not more than that. That's it. Isse zyada nahi. And that is borne out by what has been done on ground. So I'll rest my case at this point of time. Take the discussion forward, please.
Thank you so much, sir. General Dushyant Singh, let's talk about Yangzi for a little bit. In this particular case, India kind of got on or caught on to what China was going to do. And they had the Chinese, 50 people, 100 people, just X number, completely surrounded. Then they immediately raised the white flag. This is blatant crossing into India's territory. And after that, I'm not very clear what happened. Did India just let go of them? Was there no retribution? Because unless you extract retribution, these buggers will do it again. Your thoughts, sir?
Look, as far as the LAC is concerned, line of actual control is concerned, there are some protocols which are followed. Now, the Chinese really, they didn't come across our territory. They were intending to come, we intercepted them. Right, and then they raised the flag and went back. So there was no confrontation really, say to speak. So therefore, we did not want to carry out an action which would have unnecessarily led to some kind of a conflict going on. Remember, at that point in time also, we were actually negotiating in Galwan. I think it was some 13th round or the 14th round of talks which were going on. And also keep in mind, we were doing something big. Now, if we had started something here, that big thing of Kailash would have got exposed. So when a nation is planning something and it finds an irritant, it deals with the irritant in a manner that it doesn't deflect you from the main task. And the main task was to get these guys to move out of the areas which they had come in. Today, you can say that safely around 90 to 95% of the pre-20 situation has been achieved. There are a few minor issues left that will be taken care of. I always link any action which is taken by military as a political directive. Why so? The political directive today, the bigger one, is that we have to become a Viksit Bharat by 2047. Now, for us to become a Viksit Bharat by 2047, what are the mandatory things? There are 2-3 mandatory things. A, we should become an economic powerhouse. There is no denial on that. Larger the cake, larger the pie for the defense. So that is the first aim. The second aim is that without military, without hard power, you really cannot ensure a hinder-free kind of economic growth. So therefore, your hard power has to also continuously increase and get self-sustaining. To be fair to the Chinese, they did this 20 years earlier than us. We should have possibly done it along with them when in 1992 both of us decided to become liberal. I think somewhere we got caught into our internal politics, which was totally haywire. Every day there used to be a government change, etc., taking place. So there was no time left for either national security or time left for economic growth. Thankfully, for the last, I think, 20 odd years, there has been some amount of stability, and therefore we have seen this path of growth taking place, and it has taken a phenomenal jump in the last 10 to 12 years. Now, so if this be the aim, and if the larger aim was to go behind, maneuver, and sit in Kailash so that they are forced to recoil, this would have definitely, diverted us from that bigger aim. So that was the point which I thought I should make it. And there were so many things going on in the eastern Ladakh which were very active. This was really telling you, I have been the chief of staff of that area. These things happen on a very routine basis, and we deal with them in a manner very efficiently. After Sumdrangchu, we have really never had any big surprises coming from China. It was 67, Sumdrangchu. Doklam, I mean, Doklam has been made into a very big issue. I was the number two of the command. General Bakshi was the number one of the command. We know how we dealt with Doklam. One small action, one small action. And if I tell you, you laugh. And the Chinese are just flat. One small action. We just put a dozer in front of their dozer. That's it. They just couldn't move ahead. They kept on jostling on the LC, and mind you, the jostling was not taking place in our territory. Jostling was taking place in their territory. We had gone ahead, and we had said, "You are not going ahead." Right? That used to be the protocol in those times, and we had agreed. Oh, banner, lagta tha. Those things were there. That was part of it. They broke the agreement during Galwan, and in Yangzi also, it was not a very very to be fair, if you want, I mean, I would also like to tell that there are certain things of the Chinese which we need to take care of, right? And these are essentially related to their, non-kinetic capabilities which are there. Those non-kinetic capabilities we should be aware of, and we should take preemptive action so that they don't become a hindrance for us. For example, their media presence in US is huge. They are every day creating some kind of a public internal discord in India. There are YouTube channels which earlier started off claiming that they are pura national security ka bhagat and all that thing, but today they have changed color. And I won't mince my words. Jan Shankar would know, 2 3 days back there was a YouTube thing which took place, and in which he has literally criticized our deputy chief. Why should you wash your, imagined public imagined dirty linen in the public? If you, first of all, it was an imagination of his mind, then he washes it in the public. That's absolutely stupid. So we need to actually, because it ultimately affects our men also. It's not that it's so simple. We say we'll ignore it, we'll do this, we'll do that. No, I got a call yesterday from a brigadier. He said, "Sir, I wanted to go across and slap that guy and put him behind bars." He was an energy person, that commando spirit was there in him. So I told him, "Hold your horses. We have our rules and regulations. We will be able to deal with that guy, and we will project it in a manner." I'm deliberately not naming him, but these are the kind of people who have, because of their past, they have established a large audience base. So we should avoid giving fodder to these people. So that was as far as Yangtze is concerned. So our non-kinetic effort has to really match up to the Chinese, especially in the international domain. We realized in Op Sindoor also, we woke up a little late. I would like that there should be a regular military brief which should be separate, and a political brief which should be separate. Political brief means foreign affairs brief, and this foreign affairs brief must go to every ambassador of ours, every high commissioner of ours, so that he's able to articulate into the public media as to what is the reality, and not get away with all these kind of things which are happening today. Today you have the certain things we should not bother about it. Lunch and air marshal ko bula liya, and those things are okay. They can keep calling whomsoever they want to call. Those are not important. But the ones which affect your own troops, I think Those are things which we have to be careful of, and that should be properly articulated. Where they have some strength still left is that, our neighbors, where they are continuing to do this proxy war. There we need to be thinking quickly on our feet, whether it is Bangladesh, whether it is Pakistan. The CPEC drill they are trying to extend. Our Kaladan project, I keep telling, उसका नाम ही गलत रख दिया उन्होंने. काला क्यों रख दिया यार? Black is not very.
It's the name of a place, isn't it, sir? Isn't it
River,
the name
river.
of a place?
No, the river's name is not Kaladan. Kuludon. They should have put the actual original name, ना. वो कालादान बोल दिया इंडिया में, उसके ऊपर नजर लग गई है. वो ऐसी नजर
Black
लगी
money.
कि जब से वो शुरू हुआ है, it has never actually taken off, barring few stretches here and few stretches on the other side. That project has always remained in the, and that would have been an excellent initiative had we taken it. I mean, there would have been no. Now today, what is happening? The two big powers are playing games there. Good for us. Good for us. They both are trying to match each other. It's a very fine game. Even in Pakistan, it is the same thing which is happening. The US and the Chinese are playing games with each other. They will keep on learning their lessons. They have learned their lessons in the past. I have seen hot debates taking place between Pakistanis and the US officials on aid, etc., which was provided to them. They have forgotten their lessons. Let them remember their lessons. And the Chinese are now trying to reorientate कि अब वो क्या, what should they do? In both the places they are facing a headwind. In a way, it is a good situation for India. It is a good situation for India that these proxies are now being tackled by somebody else. We should take advantage when the situation is absolutely right. As of now, what we should do is we should ensure that there is no crafting of a Christian state which is happening. I believe yesterday I did a podcast where the DGSM rifle former, he said that the missionaries are really, really upgrading their game there. They are coming in large numbers. They are converting people. So therefore, I think we need to be conscious of those aspects which should not be exploited by our thing. So non-kinetic is the area where we need to focus on, and long term. See, one thing you have to grant them, in numbers they are more than us. उनका 10 हवाई जहाज भी गिर गया तो हमको we also got a limited potential for missiles and the launchers. We have our own capabilities. Every year we are able to produce X number of missiles, and then we keep on adding to our kitty. But when you totally compare in terms of number of, okay, there 200 will not work, but I think the 100 would work. So therefore, we need to also create capability for sustaining the war. As of now, in a limited conflict, we should be able to do well. But if it goes prolonged on a longer duration, we don't have any friend like Ukraine who will keep on giving them HIMARS and whatnot and what have you, including F-16s have been given to them. So later on, they've also permitted them to launch across into the Russian territory, etc. We need to build our long-term capabilities. We need to build our, the drone technology, AI, cyber. These are the areas we have to really work hard. We are currently just started in this area, and it can be compared with the total amount of investments which we have done in terms of physical. Actually, the number of $1 billion which we have invested, 16 versus 46. These are the figures. Yeah, these are the figures in the technology domain for China and India. Look at the US is way ahead of us, but our major concern is China. So we have to be actually up and about, reaching there faster than the normal, and government has taken cognizance of it. 3-4 days back, they have released a lot of projects sanctioned. Hopefully, they see the light of the day. My only problem is projects are sanctioned, but they take their own time to fructify. Those are things I think we have to consider. Our internal health has to be improved and taken faster towards making ourselves a countable military power compared to the big powers, not with Pakistan. I'm not bothered about Pakistan.
Thank you so much, sir. General Ravi Shankar, let's talk a little bit about this conversion problem in the Northeast. And I don't know, you are so busy, both of you generals are so busy. I don't know if you had a chance to look at my currency series. It's a 5-part series. I've done the first 2 so far. I talked about barter to gold to paper to digital currency. I talked about the various types of digital currencies. Next, we go into the plan what United States has, and it's a stable coin. And this is something that all of us need to understand, because suddenly all these exchange rates will just go out the window. And I'll just leave it at that. Why I'm saying this, General Ravi Shankar, is that so far India has put some crimps on FCRA by not allowing money to come in. But yet we see that the activity is still very, very high. Whether you take Tamil Nadu, whether you take Andhra Pradesh, or whether you take the northeastern states. So somehow money is finding its destination, which is basically giving money to convert. In this, army really can't play a role. It is actually the politicians who have to play a role. I mean, you have seen both sides in the sense that you've been at the higher levels of power, echelons of power, where you see how politicians respond to things. Is there something that India can do now to try and, if not reverse, at least stop this thing cold? There are some districts, I will tell you, viewers, in India where conversion has been stopped cold. And that happened with the help of the people there. How lucky are we going to be with the people of Northeast? Can we stop them? Can we use their help to stop it? Your thoughts, sir?
You have to go back into the history of Northeast to understand this problem and whether it will go away. Uh, let's be very clear, it will not go away. This issue will smolder. Why? See, you allowed, whatever reason, we allowed this conversion to happen before, independence only. And largely, though, people who come there are all American missionaries. It's not in British-based Christianity. It is American evangelism which has entered that belt. Okay, and US aid has sustained it. So you have this thing which is going, and there's an unholy connect. Let me put it. I've been in the Northeast, so I know. Very surprisingly, all the church is controlled by largely Christians from the south, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. The fathers, the sisters, the nuns, they're all from here. They go from here on deputation. So there is this, and they control a lot of things. So the point is, it's a amorphous kind of a system, right? The only way you can control it is ensure that at the grassroots level, you start auditing their funds. The moment you start auditing their funds, a lot of things will come in place. But unfortunately, in the Northeast, the least audited thing is funding. Every organization gets funds from every kind of system. It could be legal, illegal, everything. There's no financial law in the Northeast. I mean, things couldn't have changed in the past 7-8 years. We've not been there. Okay. So unless you get the law applicable, why it's not applicable there? Because a lot of your laws are not applicable in tribal areas. If you go as per the 6th and the 7th schedule of the Constitution, these tribal areas have certain benefits. And largely Northeast is all tribal areas. They all get covered there. Tribes. So because they are in tribes, they have autonomous councils, this, that, and all that. The loopholes are huge. So the way to control this whole story is not on ground. It is through legal methods, through constitutional methods. Right? And that is something which we have to, unfortunately, here what happens, the electoral politics comes in. Electoral politics, party politics, all this comes in. Okay. Then the biases or national biases comes in. So the moment you start saying, this problem of trying to make a Christian state, all that, these issues come. After all, whether you like it or not, Mizoram is a state already. Nagaland is a Christian state. The number of people, these are two are predominantly Christian dominated states. There are large tracts of Manipur which are also Christian dominated. There are also large tracts of Arunachal where they're Christian dominated. Okay. The saving grace in this is, incidentally, there is also a huge dose of Hinduism in this, which is spreading. And there's also a huge dose of Islam in this area. You'll be surprised. Islam has spread. Islam has spread along the rivers, up Brahmaputra and up Barak, the two main rivers in that area. For example, the districts of Hailakandi and Karimganj, in South Assam, are Muslim
Assam.
dominated. Assam, South Assam, they are Muslim majority, and they lie next to Christian districts and states. So there is a mosaic there. How can you maximize it? How can you do everything? And a large part of how you handle this comes from Manipur. You stabilize Manipur, and then all these get stabilized. I mean, that's the crux. Our problem is we went into a tailspin 2 years back with Manipur, and we've not come out of it. Okay, so that is what I think. And mind you, what's the problem in Myanmar? I mean, Manipur. Why is the problem festering? It's Myanmar. What's the problem in Myanmar? Myanmar doesn't have one problem. Apart from the fact that China has come in and it's come into CMEC and Chokfu and all that nonsense, there are also rare earths. There is also energy. There is also gold. There is also rubies. There is also minerals. China is not investing into Myanmar for fun. They've got strategic interests. They've got economic interests. This humanitarian corridor by USA is not for fun again. They want to go and
Yes.
sort that out. They're not interested in Muslims of Rakhine State. So this is the game. Are we good at playing this game? If you're not good at playing this game, you're not. So that means, what is the thing? I come back to India, China. You should develop the capability of not only internal issues and reformation and all the issues that General Dushan brought out. You need to go external. You have to play the external game. You don't defend your country on your borders. You should defend your country away from your borders. Which are the two places where you can defend? One is Myanmar, other is Tibet. What have you done about Tibet? Whatever you do in Tibet, it doesn't matter what you do in Tibet, you do something. Whatever. It could be a flawed thing, everything, whatever. The day you do something in Tibet, China will be forced to look inwards. End of story. Okay, people say, no, if you do anything in Tibet, there'll be an ill effect. They will do more in India. What more can they do? They've done the worst. You have jailed Pakistan for so many years. You jailed Manipur for so many years. Northeast, they've interfered for so many years. They've already done enough problem in Naxals. They've already sorted out a lot of your industry. Whatever they had to subvert in places like Kerala, they've already done. So what is left? Why are we waiting? Right? And His Holiness the Dalai Lama has given us the opening. Day before I did this, program in Gunner Shot on Dalai Lama, what has he done for us? Just by saying, look, the next Dalai Lama will be chosen as per the Gadan Phodrang Trust, that is of the Central Tibetan Authority, right? And no other Dalai Lama is recognized. He's put actually the heebie-jeebies in China. Why? Even if China makes a Dalai Lama, he will not be accepted by that chap till such time as Dalai Lama is here. And the process of Dalai Lama is going to take 5 to 6 years before a Dalai Lama comes in. Another 10 years before he becomes a major and starts assuming. This is a long-term problem. He's lit the fire already. Okay, we can keep talking of it doing. Now just think of a case. I mean, if you actually read the Dalai Lama statement, he says, I've consulted all Tibetans. Tibetans want me to continue with the Dalai Lama. And if they say that we will follow what you say. So he said what he has said. Luckily, our government, in some form, direct or indirect, Mr. Kiran Rijiju has already said He's a Buddhist. He's already mentioned. He now these days you see pictures of him and Richard Jere, who's also Buddhist in Arunachal and in Dharamshala and all that. So the messages going, visuals going to China. If China is smart, they'll step back. If China is not smart, they'll come towards the border. If they come towards the border, you throw a bomb behind. End of story. For that, you need political capability within. You go back to that same thing which General Dushan said. You need to have non-kinetic and kinetic capability. Unless you have a strong base, unless you have a strong economy, unless your economy is not hostage to China, okay, unless your ability to make arms and ammunition is not hostage to outside influences, it will not happen. I mean, I'll connect. Today morning I did. Why is our Prime Minister going to BRICS and talking? It's a great opportunity which is coming up in BRICS.
Yeah.
Okay, why is he going to Venezuela? Why is he going to Ghana? Why is he going to Namibia? There's logic in that. I've explained. All of you who want to understand that, see today morning what I put out. That's available in clause. It's available in Ghana short. There's a logic. These are opportunities which are getting where Xi Jinping is not there, Putin is not there, and it's only a prime minister who's the head of the big economy. There are about 25 countries which are going to be represented in BRICS at some level. They want defense equipment. Everyone wants defense equipment. Yesterday I saw a tweet in which there are about 20 countries which want BrahMos. Okay, we should give them all BrahMos so that all of them can sort out their people and Chinese or whoever. Give Japan, South Korea, North Korea, Taiwan, everyone the BrahMos free of cost. Okay. And then you see this change. So are you prepared to play that game? I mean, like what? That differential between China and India, which is say, everyone says about 20 years, is going to contract now. It's going to contract for two reasons. The first reason for contraction is that we are going to grow and you can't be stopped. We can't be stopped. And the second is China is going to decline and no one can stop it. I'm putting my neck out. China is going to decline and no one can stop it. So the differential is going to come down. And I'll take a bet. What will be the shape of the world in the next 5 years? We'll see. We can do a program on that. Okay. And you'll see that our strength is going to go up. So how you manage these things is more important. And we are very sure that PLA can't fight. And this is a fight they can never do. Do the indirect fight. Right? I mean, I've veered from the topic. I've tried to come back from the topic, but the solutions for India to sort out China, handle PLA, don't lie in the military domain. They lie in the non-military, non-kinetic domain. That's my view.
Thank you so much, General Ravi Shankar. Let's take a few questions. There are lots of questions for you.
He's got a point. He's got a point to say.
I just wanted to add.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
I just wanted to add about Tibet factor. Now, silently, there is a lot of churning taking place on Tibet. It's not only YouTube channels like us who are discussing. There are people who are really looking at the way we can tap Tibet, and I was surprised. I was in one of the discussions. I was surprised that there are so many amorphous things in the Tibetan culture that can be not only the Tibetan culture, also in the institution of Dalai Lama, institution of Panchen Lama, that can be so easily exploited for geopolitical reasons. And I was also pleasantly surprised that these institutions have been politically used, not from now, but from the time the Dalai Lama's institution was created.
Yeah, it's a political institution.
Incidentally, there were 3 lady Dalai Lamas. I just wanted to tell you, just for the information of the for the. So I've been into it for the last, I think, 2 weeks, into this Tibetan thing. I don't want to share everything because ultimately let it come out slowly. What we can do about it, but it is work in progress. I can just tell you that.
Yeah, that's okay. That I agree with you.
There are there are people who are pushing it. It's not that this is the official policy. There are people who are on their own pushing this thing, like
Thank you
you
so
and
much,
me.
General Dushan Singh. And if you don't mind, let's take a few questions. Lots of
Yeah.
them from all three channels. So we pull it in. Lots of questions here. Let's start with the questions, please. Vishnu Gopi wants to know, sir, did we take out Chinese radar in Skardu during Ops? And this is for General Dushan Singh.
See, these are questions which we cannot answer, and it's best not to be answered.
Next question, please. Yeah, understood, sir. This is General Ravi Shankar. To what extent can PRC just stay away from shedding blood and letting their money/debt traps do all the dirty work? Surely at some point their influence on growth will plateau due to this policy. General Ravi Shankar.
Yeah, it's already done. It's already happening. That is why no one. I mean, just for your information, have a look at today's New York Post. Open New York Post for today and see. There's an article how Russia and China kept away from Iran.
Yeah,
it's already happening. No one will trust them.
Everywhere.
Even Pakistan is not interested. Why do you think Pakistan is running to USA?
Why is
Why
Pakistan
is the
going
Air
to
Force
US?
chief gone to USA? He is only this है. उसका plateau हो गया already. Tibetan plateau हो गया उसका.
Next question, General Dushan Singh. Ninath Bhatt wants to know. Oh, it's for General Ravi Shankar. Sir, let Ravi Shankar. Yeah. Do we expect Chin to? Yeah. Do we expect Chin to extend more support to Pakistan in the next phase of Ops Sindhu? Deputy Chief has already called China fighting hand in hand with Pakistan in the last phase of Ops Sindhu. General Dushan Singh.
This is a no-brainer question. They will continue to help because you see it serves Chinese purpose of keeping India involved in our Western front, and it is in our interest to keep China involved either in Tibet or in Taiwan. The two T's, the two T's I say. So this game will continue.
Soul Light, I think. I would like an opinion from both generals. I have seen many analysts from the US say that if China attacks Taiwan, North Korea will make its move into South Korea. What are your thoughts?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. First and foremost, the fact that China will attack Taiwan is a very, premature thought. I don't think they will. My personal view is China will not. And I'll explain why. You must understand. China, Taiwan is a card for China to keep, show to their masses and keep the CCP in power. If Taiwan is not annexed, CCP will not collapse. But if something goes wrong in the Taiwan, operation, CCP will collapse. See the thing, the risk of going into Taiwan and failing is very high, and China doesn't have the capability of doing that. So they will not go to Taiwan. That's one. Second, it's not easy for North Korea to go into South Korea. Same. North Korea also has the same problem of lack of experience and all that. See what happened in Russia. What happened in Russia? That North Korean battalion which went there in the division which went there got hammered. They were not prepared to fight. The Russians were not putting them on the front lines. They were putting them for rear areas, all that. Till one time they said, no, put the North Koreans up. The North Koreans went and got hammered and got back. So North Korean experience is not good. And that fellow Kim Jong-un is a smart guy. I mean, let me grant it. He knew that his army did not have capability. So he sent them into Russia. Okay? To gain battle experience. But the battle experience which they would have gained in Russia against Ukraine will be far different from what they will try to do against South Korea. Dynamics along the 38th parallel are completely different.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's not easy. It's not easy for North Korea to go into South Korea and South Korea will keep quiet. Yeah, there's a problem with South Korea because South Koreans also don't want to fight today. They have their own problems. So it's a dynamic kind of a situation. But given what North Korea is, he'll be very happy to hang on to what he has.
Well, South Korea has been also Christianized by the United States. Many of us don't
Right.
realize this. Only when you go there, you realize it. Although they still tend to be Buddhist and Sanatani in their thoughts, it is happening. Viewers, those of you who have Netflix, and I think Netflix mostly, they have a lot very good South Korean serials. Just watch it. It's very, very nice
Yes.
because
Yes.
it's very similar to what we do. In fact, in Korean, father is appa, which is Tamil for father, and amma is for mother. I've seen this being used by some people in China too, which kind of it intrigues me as to how this all spread there. Let's go to the next one, please. Ananta Venkateshan, thank you so much for your super sticker. Next question. Ashish Hegde, he wants to know, sir, this is for you, General Dushyant Singh. Good evening, sirs. Is it possible that Pak, Bangladesh, China attack us same time on land, sea, and air? And do we have a plan for this scale of an attack?
Okay, okay. In warfare, nothing is impossible. But for them to do this would be, in my view, a kind of a signal for a greater conflict, which will, emanate all over. I mean, it will suck in everyone. It will suck in everyone. There are a lot of interest in Bangladesh and Pakistan of the great power. I mean, you see, the great power game has already started in Pakistan and Bangladesh. So unlikely that they will have energy enough to attack along with us. Physical attack is not possible. Collusivity, yes, they would try to uh, kind of use the non-kinetic mode to trouble us, covert operations, terrorist attacks, etc. Those we cannot rule out. But I don't think there will be a combined military operation. This will be internationally. Also, there will be so much of hue and cry that it will lead to a greater conflict.
Akash Krishan Tadani wants to know, the PLA is apparently the security agency of the CCP. Internally, they can do a Tiananmen Square at the drop of a hat, but externally is probably beyond their pay grade. Your views?
Yeah, I agree with you. They, like I told you, always been saying that the PLA is more of a regime protection force rather than an external force. Xi Jinping wanted to convert it and do away, but the hard fact is the CCP itself is vulnerable. So that vulnerability and the political strains which have gone through the PLA can't change. It's a leopard can't change its spots. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to
This
add
is
to the I wanted to add to the previous thing. It's not that India is going to be totally helpless. You see, what happens is even if they combine the attacks, our navy is sitting pretty to take on both of them, Pakistan as well as Bangladesh, and the Chinese navy is nowhere near us. So therefore, if they do anything like this, we can take care of the Chinese on the border, then Pakistan on the border. Rest the navy will take care. Just to just to inform.
Yeah.
General Dushyant Singh, you mentioned that they do not have people to fight the war, though they may have the technology. Can they cripple us by attacking our infra like earlier, especially in a war? Gitanjali for you, General Dushyant Singh.
Yeah, see, in the past they have demonstrated certain capability of interfering into our port systems, our electricity grids, etc. They have displayed certain amount of ability through cyber to also possibly commit or create accidents of our transportation systems. But now, just to put you at ease, our cyber capabilities have also improved tremendously. You have to see some of them to actually believe. Today, you are actually trading without any fear or any worry that your money is going to be safe, is because our cyber capability has prevented almost thousands of attacks every minute which take place on BSC. And from where these attacks take place. These attacks take place from our friends in the north and the west.
Pradeep Timothy, this is for you, General Ravishankar. Has there been any empire in history that tried to create a narrative similar to what China is doing, despite its weak army, and what happened to these empires? History.
Yeah, you look at China itself. China itself has its own history. If you look at the history of China, and the empires before that, a lot of their problems, they lived by, their narratives and lost by their narratives. No other country has lived by such narratives.
Ottoman, sir?
So,
Ottoman Empire?
Ottoman Empire just grew too big at a point of time. They had no narrative left.
But their
I
narrative
mean,
got lost ultimately.
and that way, if you see even the Roman Empire, which lasted for 5 centuries, had the same problem. Empires become too big and collapse. And, that's about all.
Next question, please. Amitesh Behra wants to know, this is for you, General Dushyant Singh. With due respect, how many offensive wars have we fought since independence? I don't think any.
Okay. What do you call as offensive wars?
We started it. That's, I think, what he means.
We started it. So if I say that we started one, will you believe it? Go back to history and just see.
We started one. I see. Interesting. I'd have to, if I have to hang my hat, it would be 1971, but I could be wrong.
Yes, you're right. When we say we started means, what we are trying to say is that the situation became so difficult for us to handle the kind of pressure which economically we were. Remember, Garibi Hatao, all those things were taking place. India was really poor, and at that time, suffering so many refugees coming into our country was really a big challenge for us. So we had to start supporting. We had no choice.
Next one. Thank you so much, sir. Next one, Ravi Shankar. This is for you, General Dushyant Singh again. We have Rahul Gandhi like creature working against India in the United States.
There are many. Not only Rahul Gandhi. You saw the Mizoram Chief Minister. He went there
Yes.
in the US, and I mean it's a serious problem. But luckily we have less people of this kind to deal with, so therefore they really can't do so much of damage to us, and we are keeping a tab on them in any case.
General Ravi Shankar, VS wants to know, please discuss the Dalai Lama declaration on the choice of his successor, the changes to Indo-China relationship. I think we touched upon this.
No, one is we touched upon it. I've done a full show. It was yesterday evening. Please have a look at it.
Yeah.
Okay. By now that would have been uploaded on Clause also. Have a look. I spent the whole 1 hour talking about the various angles of this.
Thank you, QR, for your super sticker. Thank you, Natasha, for your super sticker. Thank you, Srihari Kumar. This is for you, General Dushyant Singh. How capable is amphibious force 2 Marines of US in comparison to I don't know what?
Okay, so we don't have a specialized amphibious force. What we have is that we have a rotational policy that, based on our transfers, we have a brigade or so trained in amphibious operations. So therefore, what happens? We have a large pool available with us. So if you want to configure a bigger amphibious pool, it will be not that very difficult for us. We'll be able to pull it and launch an operation. But yes, I would say that in the long run, as we are looking at more and more strengths, like what somebody highlighted, that Pakistan, Bangladesh, China, the 3 front which we were talking about, then I think we would need a dedicated dedicated amphibious force, and that will only add to our capabilities. And I'm not looking at offensive. I'm looking only at the defensive part.
Sundar Krishna wants to know.
And also don't forget that greater our reach now globally, we have to do HADR missions, we have to do rescuing of our own citizens, etc. So marine forces would be helpful to us from that point of view.
This is for General Ravi Shankar. Sundar Krishna wants to know, why is there no Tibetan army? Never heard of it if it exists.
No, it did exist when, in 1959, till 1959. Unfortunately, they lost. And, people say a lot, but the Tibetan army was there. You have to also understand, Tibet was not an easy state. Okay? It was a reticent state. It never wanted to mix with others. It never had good relations either with the Chinese or with India or the British Indians. Even the British also had to go and, young husband. What did young husband do? He took a military force and went and sat there and ruled Tibet. So it's a funny kind of a state, right? So it had its own concept of its army. If suppose at that point of time they had come and said, please help us, and the British had stepped in, the Chinese would have been stopped. But they didn't do it. And the next
Yeah,
thing is Tibet is also a permeable state. The Chinese actually didn't win Tibet over militarily. They won it politically. They infiltrated Tibet. They corrupted the Tibetan monks and infiltrated, and some fights here and there in the Tibetan army collapsed. That's the end of the story, and that's the end of Tibetan army. After that, nothing they've done.
yeah. If you have to see Tibetan army, look at the General Zorawar's campaign. The Tibetan army fought General Zorawar. General Zorawar defeated them. What the Tibetans did, what they went running to China, and the Chinese army came in and defeated General Zorawar because he was stretched for logistics, and his troops didn't have the in the winters to sustain themselves and save themselves. Therefore, they most of them collapsed because of the inclement weather, and the Chinese came in to help the Tibetan army. So it has always been a very weak army.
Next question, please. OMG wants to know, this is for you, General Dushan. Would the rent seeking from all the countries China has credited would save them?
How? See, their biggest problem is their manufacturing overcapacity. They would have got money, but after that, what would they have done with the capacity which they have now generated? Their big problem is where do they sell these things? And if India cuts down its market, domestic market, they will come down, and General Shankar will be able to highlight more on this issue than me. But he has done a very detailed study on the Chinese economy.
Yeah, they're not unsustainable. They're unsustainable. Their internal consumption is zero almost. I mean, when I say zero for the kind of manufacturing they have, and today they're not able to push it out also. And they're selling it at rock bottom prices, and they're all subsidy. Every subsidy is at their own expense. You see, what is subsidy? People have to understand subsidy. How does the Chinese state subsidize all their products? By giving them money. Where do they get that money from? They sell bonds. Whom they sell the bonds to? Chinese people. So the Chinese people buy bonds. With that bond, it goes into state subsidy, which is given to their product, manufacturing capacity. Who sell these goods at almost, no profit today, and or least profit to outside countries. And in fact, they sell it at no profit. In fact, they sell it at a loss. Their profit comes from subsidies. How far will it continue? There's come a stage already in China where there are many provinces which say will not give subsidy. They're coming to an end.
पाकिस्तान का एग्जांपल देख लो ना, हर साल रोल ओवर कर रहे हैं उनको 30 बिलियन को,
और पैसा तो मिलता नहीं है वापस.
वो भी तो उसका, that is also a county of China ना.
China.
For all practical purposes, yes.
For all practical purposes.
This is for General Ravi Shankar. The question is, Robbie, I can't read it properly. MNS 24.
Robbins. Yeah.
India has
Robbins 24.
Robin 24. India has recently made overtures to NK, North Korea. I think the recent bonhomie between Russia and North Korea has shown a window of opportunity that can be exploited. How are North Korea's relations with India historically?
Very interestingly, North Korea respects India and India has good equations with North Korea. This has come out repeatedly. Okay. North Korea is one of the countries which you can speak to. And North Korea responds to us. Right? So we are okay. In fact, my view is that it is high time we made an outreach to North Korea through Russia. The day you set foot in North Korea in some manner, the chap who will have a heart attack is Xi Jinping and China. I'm not joking.
General, if you remember 40 years ago, we used to invite their soccer team, I think Pyongyang
Yeah.
University. Those
Yeah.
guys used to come and beat the heck out of all the teams in India. I used to see that. What the hell is going on here?
But it has got value, no?
Yeah.
I mean, the
Next.
US was hobnobbing with North Korea, so why not?
Yeah.
It's a transactional world now.
Yeah.
General Dushyant, this is for you. Vatyam Vamshi Sharma wants to know, are we looking at a new world order led by India, which would be an alternate to a defunct UN, especially with the global south and many other anti-UN and anti-China countries?
See, it's not so simple the way you're trying to project it. Yes, one of the aims would be that to be a bloc of global south. Now, Brazil is being somewhat made to look like a global south platform, but Brazil itself, sorry, BRICS itself has so not Brazil, BRICS. The BRICS itself has members who are not part of global south today. I mean, I won't include China as part of global south.
Of
Its
course.
economy is
Yeah.
its economy is now per capita $11,000 and more. So therefore, it is a developed country. So how should they come into global south? So there are some contradictions there. People are talking about what you are trying to say, but the biggest problem with global south is investments. Who will fund them? Who will give the mullah? That's the big problem. Will there be a bank created where the country see having just a talk and no action on ground will not really yield result. It will become a NAM. The way NAM was that we used to only get together, have a nice talk, and hug each other and then go back. If you want a block like that, it will be of no use. This block must count for itself, either through economic cooperation. For economic cooperation, you require investment. There should be secretariat. There should be a plan. We should evolve a security plan as well. So therefore, unless we have all these factors, then global south will only be a forum to talk.
General is referring to non-aligned movement when he said NAM, not to be confused with
Yeah.
Vietnam short form. Thought provocateur,
Yes,
thank you so much. Can't she do a Munir to consolidate power in CGP, CCP,
No, no.
CCP?
No, it can't.
CC,
They've gone past that
CCP.
stage. They've gone past that thing. He can't look. Others are doing a Munir. Others, the people who want to displace Xi Jinping, they are trying to go closer to USA. It's the flip. Why is Xi Jinping being removed? Because the economy has gone down, influence has gone down, a lot of things are happening. And they say, look, we can't keep fighting with everyone around us. We can't keep fighting with USA. Our sustenance is with USA and you're fighting with them. So if you get out, we'll start talking to them. That's their logic. So it's the other way around. Yeah.
Next one, please. Saurabh Sabarwal, thank you so much. Respect to both General Sirs and Sriji, quantity has a quality of its own. China will try and saturate our defense systems. Also, some silly tactics to your views, sir. Let's start with General Dushyant and then General Ravi Shankar can weigh in. This is the last
Yeah,
question.
I agree with him partially that quantity does matter. Ultimately, I mean, we can keep destroying their systems, but ultimately they will last out us because of the fact that there is a gap in the numbers. Whether we will be so, therefore, we have to find smart solutions. What are those smart solutions? For example, target the launchers. I mean, this is one way to do it. Why keep on defending with missile versus missile? Start targeting the launchers, which are in lesser number, and creates the same kind of an impact. Likewise, we'll have to go from sector to sector and see which is the critical area which, if we destroy, that particular capability becomes null and void. Air, take for example the air thing. Now we have an advantage in terms of lift capability. We take off from, let's say, Ambala, Pathankot, and these areas. We can fully load our aircrafts and dump all the munitions on the Tibetan plateau. But from Tibetan plateau, they have 1/4 load capability. So they will require 4 times our aircrafts. So these are certain things which we need to build upon, exploit the S-400s. exploit the Rafales in some form or the other. They are saying that they've got J-20 is a stealth aircraft and J-35 is a stealth aircraft. It's not proven. What if it fails like PL-15? They need another conflict to start testing their JL-20s and JL-15s, JL-35s. JF-35. Let's see if it succeeds or not succeeds. So I think, untested army remains always, or untested armed forces always remains on a shaky wicket. We should be able to target their critical areas.
Thank you, Soumya Mukherjee, for becoming a YouTube member. And that brings us to close today's program. What a wonderful session. Thank you so much, General Dushyant Singh. Thank you so much, General Ravi Shankar. We'll be back next Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Hopefully with General Rajiv Narayanan also. So we'll have the entire set of generals with us. Thank you so much, sir. Namaskar.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you.